we don't need a DNA test, right? You can just look at us.
Sure. These pictures here were the only pictures I had of Gary.
We got each other now, though.
Oh my goodness, very touching story right here in Albuquerque for you this morning. And a father and a son who were separated during the Vietnam War have found each other after nearly 40 years of being apart, and you're not going to believe how they reconnected. Here with me now is Gary Bowie and his father, Jerry Quinn. Gentlemen, good morning to both of you.
Good morning, sir.
And it's very touching to hear this story. What was the moment like? It was back in January when you two finally were able to reconnect and see each other.
I was stunned. On my end, Gary had posted the back of a photograph with my address and with his mother's handwriting. I immediately knew that I was getting ready to see who my son was. It just, all the way to the depths of my being, I knew that 40 years was coming. There was something going to happen. It was beautiful.
You're shaking there just talking about it. Gary, what was it like, that moment when you finally reconnected and you were able to give each other a great big hug?
It happened so fast. Like I said, I didn't want to believe it. I'm like, this is not happening overnight. I mean, Tuesday night, I sent a friend request out, and Wednesday morning, I found my dad. I'm like, okay, But the feeling's awesome. I mean, I think it's above and beyond awesome. I don't know how to describe that. It's awesome now. I mean, he's here with me.
He's there. Okay, so let's go back 40 years. How did you two get separated?
Well, it was the end of the Vietnam War, and I was actually one of the last 2,500 GIs to leave Vietnam. In March 28th, 1973, we were all huddled around, and the next day, 591 POWs were released. That was all part of the Vietnam War. And basically, from there on, the North Vietnamese came down. They took over the country. I lost communication with his mom. In between there, I found out she was pregnant and got the pictures you saw. So I never saw Gary, other than those pictures, for 40 years.
So you had never seen him in person, never held him as a baby?
Never.
Okay, 40 years. You knew your dad. You knew your dad was this guy. He was an American soldier at the time, but you never could connect with him. So what were you doing to try to find him?
Actually, I didn't know anything until 1999.
Okay.
That's when my mom. Actually, I didn't know who was my mom until 1999.
Okay.
So I got this, letter in the mail, and and I got the letter in the mail. So it was a long, long letter, and the letter in the package has two pictures of my dad, and my dad and my mom, and so that's when I'm like, I know that I have a dad, and I know that I have a real mom, because I was raised, with a foster family pretty much all my life, until 1999. So
Yeah.
it's pretty. That's when I'm like, okay. That's when I started looking. I wrote a letter to that address, but it got kicked back to me. And, I was very sad. I'm like, there's no way this is happening. Why do I receive this package now? I came in contact my dad. I'm like, I was very sad.
Okay, so you're running into dead ends. Then, Jerry, you posted a message on Facebook, and that's how this whole thing happened.
Yeah, I mean, it was like the last thing to do.
Because you'd actually gone back to Vietnam to try to find Gary.
Yeah, I was back in Vietnam. I was with the BBC, British Broadcasting Company, because they're filming my search. They're actually going to put out a documentary, worldwide documentary. And we had just come to a dead end. I'm like, a lot of good things happened, but now I knew I really wanted to make the connection. I knew there had to be something there. I mean, there was things that happened that made him so real to me.
Okay, so let's fast forward here. You put a note on Facebook. You saw it through a friend's post. And then when did that moment when the light bulb went on and it was like, hey, wait a second, this is it?
Yes, like I said, I didn't want to believe it. This happened so fast, from Wednesday to Thursday. I'm like, okay, something is not right. I just don't go on there. No, Tuesday night, requested guy as a friend, and then Wednesday morning I found my dad. I'm like, okay, this is not happening. But I was actually nervous. I was like shaking. I was out food shopping, and then I told my wife, come here, Jenny, I found my dad. And she's like, come on, man, don't play, this is not time. I'm like, no, please, look. He's got my mom pictures on there, too. But I was, like, shaking, like, holding the phone, and I'm, like, looking. I'm like, okay, come on. I'm like, calm down, Gary, calm down. One step at a time, you know what I mean? So that's when I got home. I just took a picture of the back of the picture and sent him just the address, and I just see what kind of response I'm getting, so. But it's awesome.
Yeah. Jerry, what do you want to tell Gary? 40 years.
I just wish that I could have been there. You know, I think that my biggest thing is that, you know, he has a brother, and I've had the joy of having a son with me. And missing that, you know, you can't replace that, but we can go forward. You know, we can build our relationship now, even as men, and move forward. And that's what I'm looking forward to, getting to know the man that I missed for 40 years.
And Gary, what do you want to say to your dad? 40 years, seeing him here.
I'm happy. I'm happy. I could finally say I have a dad now. I'm very happy, and we're just gonna enjoy our time. You know, like Dad say, we're gonna start building this relationship that we don't have for 40 years. You know, so love you, Dad.
I love you, man.
But it's an
Can't
incredible
get any better
story.
than that, I can tell you that.
It really can't. I'm sorry that it took 40 years, but I'm so glad both of you are here. I'm so glad you reconnected, and I can tell you're going to have an incredible relationship as we go forward. And let us know when that documentary is going to be on the BBC. We definitely want to see that. For more information on their incredible story and some pictures, head to our website, casa.com. Click on the Casa blog. Gentlemen, again, thank you so much.